Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another match preview on the channel. And Leicester City take on Aston Villa for the first game of 2025 at Villa Park. And yeah, the clash of the Midlands clubs. West Midlands versus East Midlands again then. 9th versus 19th. Villa have an eye on Europe. Leicester City have an eye on this year to stay up in the Premier League. So yeah, both sides, I think, would shake your hands if both sides get their target this season, of course. I'm going to be chatting with Rich from the Villa Park podcast. He's going to be chatting to me about the opposition and, of course, the task in hand challenge against Leicester City. So I'm going to get Richard's views. Guys, as always, get involved. Get your comments in, as always. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed. Then that would be fantastic. But let's see who's in the comments. Leicester till I die. How are you? Hope you're good. It's definitely be watching this live. See you in 5 minutes. Well, we are live now. Anyone home? Hello, Craig. How are you, mate? Hope you're good. Let's get Rich in from the Villa Park podcast. Rich, how are you?
I'm very well, Jack. Good to see you. We were just chatting there. It's been a few years, but yeah, good to see it. Looking forward to the match on Saturday.
It's been a while, hasn't it, Rich, since we last spoke, me and you. The season we obviously got relegated. I think you were more confident going into the game last time we visited Villa Park than we was. We was obviously struggling at that point. You guys were doing all right. But then the change of fortunes, Leicester go and beat you 4-2 after you lot led the game. And yeah, talk to me firstly, Rich, about where everyone can find you before we talk about the clash at Villa Park.
Oh yeah, of course, mate. We're Villa Park podcast. We do match reactions, previews, transfer talk, rumor shows, tactical breakdowns. You name it, we've got it on there. So just find us at Villa Park Podcast. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. I think we're about 90 away. So yeah, anyone who's watching today wants to subscribe to support us, help us hit the 5K, that'd be great. And obviously on all socials at Villa Park Pod or Villa Park Podcast, if you just put them in, X, Instagram, TikTok. Just follow us on there.
Fantastic. Before we get on to the game, Rich, let's talk about the opposition. Aston Villa. 9th in the Premier League. Obviously, have another eye on Europe after making Champions League football for this season, of course. You have won 8, drawn 5, lost 6. You are on 29 points. And you are 2 points off Manchester City from 6th place. I mean, talk to me how things have gone this season under Unai Emery.
Yeah, it's been one of those, if you look at it on the face of it in terms of, 2 points off Man City, I think it's not too many points off of 5th or even 4th. So if you look at it that way, we're still in touch with some of the, with the top 5 or the top 4, but it's been a frustrating one in the Premier League. And there's been a lot of points that we've thrown away. You look at the last game against Brighton. You look at, sorry, it's just a motorbike going past. Last game against Brighton. You look at the game against Bournemouth. We conceded with the last kick of the game. You look at Nottingham Forest away, 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go. And there's loads of points that Villa have thrown away. Now, lots of people will have put it down to, oh yeah, you're in the Champions League, you've got extra games, all that kind of stuff. But it's too easy to make that excuse. Like, we've been brilliant in the Champions League. We're 5th in that, and we've only lost 1 game in that and conceded, I think, 3 goals in the whole competition. Yeah. We've just been sloppy in games in the Premier League, and So it's been an inconsistent start to the season, I would say. Yes, we're still in touch, but every time it seems like we're getting a couple of wins, we'll lose a game or we'll draw a game and then we'll drop back down. And that seems to be the case for lots of teams in the Premier League at the moment. But yeah, we're still happy with where we are. We've had a brilliant Champions League performance, so I'm still happy. But I'd like to be, 3 or 4 points better off at this stage.
Yeah, fair point. What's your thoughts on Leicester? Obviously, last time we spoke would have been the 22-23 season. We've had your ex-manager, Dean Smith, after Brendan Rodgers left. We've had Enzo Maresca, Steve Cooper, and now we've got Ruud van Nistelrooy at the helm. So quite a lot of changes since then at Leicester. Obviously, Leicester have come back up from the Championship in the first year of asking. This year, of course, is the main aim of staying up in the league. Obviously, we're on 19th at the minute. We're not many points away from Wolverhampton Wanderers, who you guys are quite good friends with, aren't you, down the road? But no, what's your initial thoughts on Leicester?
I like them. I really like Leicester. And at the start of the season, they were the team out of the ones that came up that I thought would have the best chance of staying up, and I think that's probably is the case.
Yeah,
I still think they've got a good chance of staying up. I still think the likes of Wolves are still in trouble, and although they've put some good results together, even Everton maybe could drop a little bit. So I'd do, because you've got goals in your team. Jamie Vardy is still scoring goals. Mavadidi's dangerous. Daka's dangerous. Buonanotte is a good player if you can get them playing. But it's still one of those. I still kind of feel like Leicester are in that in-between stage where, look at Southampton. They just tried to say, we're just going to play our way of playing football, and that's it. Like it or lump it. And he's ended up losing his job, and they're 100% going to get relegated. I feel like Leicester are in that stage where you want to play good football and you want to play attacking football, but at the same time, you need to shut up shop a little bit to get some results on the board. And I feel like you're in that kind of limbo stage where you need to probably pick some results up and then maybe try and expand later on, or expand for the second expand if you stay up. Because Villa did that. Villa under Dean Smith, and I know he was your manager, but in 2020 he tried to play good football, exciting football, expansive football, but we just kept losing. We kept losing 3-2, 2-1, 4-2, whatever it was. And then after it was lockdown, he went, right, we're just going to play defensive football, no nonsense. And he managed to pick up some results. And I feel like promoted teams have to do that for at least their first season and just play and try and pick up some results. Now, I hope that you guys do it. And I think home form should hopefully see you through. But it's still up in the air.
Yeah, it's one of them this season. You look at our defence and it just crumbles every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I like James Justin as well. I think he's a good player, good right back. But it is difficult because if you do play so defensive, then at the end of the day, teams in the Premier League can pick you off. So you have to still have some sort of threat. It is very, very difficult to stay up, but. Yeah, it seemed like when Van Nistelrooy came in, he started off brilliant, but it just seems to have dropped off a little bit now. So you probably need to try and get that back as quickly as you can.
I think the goal from the Championship to the Premier League is proven quite far, hasn't it? You've got to adapt quite quickly when you do go up. You've seen what happened to Sheffield United, Luton, Burnley when they came up and they went straight back down. And that's what Leicester's not got to do, We always knew this season would be tough. Some of the players in the squad are not Premier League standard, let's be fair. I think Ruud's just had to go with what he's got until obviously January, which is now, where he can look at the squad now and think, well, he's not going to work for me second half of the season. We've got to bring this player in, this player in, this player for these positions and really strengthen. And this is what's going to be key to Leicester this season in staying up. If we can get January transfer window right and not mess about and really get in that strength in depth who are actually going to be starters and not bench players, then I think we can go and do well in the second half of the season. Obviously, yes, the defence is where we're shipping goals. I think we've conceded 42 Premier League goals this season, and our defence is shipping goals like it's no one's business. We've tried, Fass in there, Connor Cody, Rakole, Vestergaard, and them types of centre-backs. And we've got Justin and Victor Christensen, and it's just not working. And Villa are obviously one of them sides who are very good going forward, aren't they? I don't think you'd have to counter-attack us for us to crumble in defence, to be fair, Rich. And I think Tielemans, with them types of through ball passes, which can slice defences open like a slice of bread, it's one of them. But talk to me about Youri Tielemans. You've had him quite a bit now. How good has he been for Aston Villa? I think this season he's been more adaptable than last season. I think last season was more about getting up to the standard of Unai Emery's style of football and how he wants to play. But I think he's approached more better in the game this season, hasn't he? I mean, you've seen that pass against Manchester City, which I thought was sublime. And that's something he's capable of. I like Tielemans at Leicester, but I think we could have got £40 million in the summer before. Yeah. Chance of losing. But how good has he been for Villa?
He's been fantastic. He's probably been our best player this season. Him or Luca Dean, which Luca Dean's a bit of a surprise because we've signed Ian Maatsen and thought that Maatsen would be the player that would jump in at left back, but Luca Dean's kept the spot. But Tielemans, you're right. It took him a little while to settle in last season. Yeah. He didn't get straight into the team, which again is something that you want as a. You want players to come in and improve the other players around you. So all of a sudden, Douglas Luiz started playing fantastic at the first half of last season, and Tielemans was struggling to get in. He was sometimes playing in the number 6 position, sometimes playing in the number 8, sometimes playing even just behind the front man. But this season, the responsibility has been put on his shoulders as being the main sort of midfielder for us, and he's stepped up, to be fair to him. I'd say one slight criticism of him is it's something that Villa fans love about him, but it's also sometimes the problem with him. Like he always looks for the pass forward, and he always looks for the pass forward quickly. And that's brilliant. You saw it yourself with the pass against Man City through to Morgan Rogers. The only problem with that is that sometimes in the game, when it's 65 minutes or 70 minutes and you're 2-1 up, you need a player who's just going to keep the ball and just pass it, and just keep possession. Sure. But he's still trying to play those passes, those first-time passes through. And it's like game management sometimes with Youri Tielemans, he probably needs to improve that because he's already done that. We're already winning the game. You just need to keep possession. You don't need to play those passes anymore because he'll give the ball away quite a bit doing that. And then that can sometimes put us under pressure because you said yourself before the show, he's always working so hard. He's all over the pitch. And at 70 minutes, he's probably knackered. So, like, him giving the ball away is then giving himself more work to do to try and get back. Whereas if he just kept the ball and just, played the easy pass, then that would be better for the team. So he's been brilliant player, but that's the only thing I would say that he probably could do with just learning a bit of game management at times, not trying to play the killer pass, every single time he gets the ball.
Yeah, it was in a good side at Leicester, obviously with Maddison in there, Barnes, Vardy, players like that, he'd really build that connection with. And like I said, Leicester's defence was the best way of the attack, getting forward quite quickly. Tielemans would play them balls when people wouldn't even realise he's played them, and he scored some very significant goals. The FA Cup goal he scored, which won us the game. And Tielemans is good when he's switched on. He's an incredible player, but sometimes he can be very off the pace. And I think that's what I've seen with him at Leicester. But talk to me about Villa v Leicester, the Midlands clash. I think with this game, it's a tough game. Obviously, going into your first game in 2025, you want to hit the ground running, don't you? You want to start the year off well. How do you think Villa approached this game against Leicester?
I think it's a game that Villa have to be confident going into, and particularly after the last result against Brighton, we got pegged back again late in the game after winning, after being 2-1 up. But before that, we had a great home win against Man City, and it looked like, even that with that Brighton result, it looks like Villa are getting that home form back with regards to being a bit of a fortress. I say that now before the game. That might be that those words might come back to haunt me. But yeah, we beat Brentford 3-1. We beat Southampton 1-0. We beat Man City 2-1, and then we've drawn against Brighton. So that the home form, I think we've only lost once in 13 or something at home. I can't remember if that's the right stat. So it just seemed like we're getting that home form back. However, what I would say is we give chances away. We give a lot of chances away, and we concede in goals. So, Vardy he always loves playing against Villa, and particularly at Villa Park. So he's always dangerous. I like what a player he's been for the Premier League and for Leicester. Like, he's so good. It's crazy. He's got 7 goals or something? This 6 or 7 goals, is he, or something? 6 goals. So yeah, he's going to get double figures this season, no doubt. And he's 38, so it's crazy, and then some of the other players that you've got will be dangerous. So yeah, we do give chances away, whether that be because of like I said, because of the way that we try and play through the lines and play those, dangerous passes that can get blocked out, and then teams can catch us on the break, or just simply a ball over the top. And that's been catching Villa out quite a bit this season. So I'm confident going into the game. I think I'd like us to approach it in a way that we go at the game from the off and try and get, the early goal and try and get 1 or 2 up. But I don't know if that's going to happen, because at the moment we seem to be conceding a goal early, barring the Man City game. We seem to be conceding goals early and then having a mountain to climb. So if we do give up a goal to you guys early and you go 1-0 up, then that's going to lead to this stretched game, and that'll probably play into your hands quite a bit.
I think Leicester's got to really approach this game positively. We've got to turn up for this game. I think the Manchester City game was probably one of our best performances of the season, if not the best. I know we lost, but there's massive positives to take out of that game. I thought we dominated Man City for large parts of that game, and that's something we've got to do. We've got to frustrate Villa as much as we can in the game. Be defensively solid, because we've got to keep that door shut when it comes to letting Villa have chances and that. And you've obviously got the threat, haven't you, in Tielemans, Ollie Watkins. You've obviously got John McGinn as well, who can really change the game on its head. And Leicester have got to start the year off positively, to be fair. And every time we seem to go to Villa Park, we seem to play well and pick up a few wins. Obviously, last time round in the King Power game was I think it was 2-1.
Yeah.
Poor refereeing in that game.
Yeah, so I think something that you guys will benefit from is the fact that only one of our main goal threats this season is playing, and that's Ollie Watkins. Morgan Rogers is suspended. John Duran is obviously suspended. And really, they're the only players who have really scored a lot of goals for us this season. So that'll really that should play into your favour. Now, we've got Jacob Ramsey back fit, and Leon Bailey's starting to show signs that he is coming back into some form. So that's something that's an encouragement for Villa. But you mentioned John McGinn; he hasn't scored in the Premier League this season. Youri Tielemans hasn't scored in the Premier League this season. So whether that's a tactic that Unai Emery is employing, that he wants those guys to provide more, I don't know. But at the minute, our reliance on goals is heavily will be on Ollie Watkins tomorrow. So if you stop him, then I don't know where all the goals are going to come from for Aston Villa. So that's another worrying position for Villa fans to be in. But yeah, we've still got quality, absolutely, and you will have to be on your game. But at the same time, like I say, like the likes of Vardy, the likes of Mavididi, that can cause us a lot of problems, and that's something that is a concern.
Yeah, I think El Khanous and Buonanotte are going to be key tomorrow as well if we can start them both again. I mean, of course, Manchester City problems. I thought El Khanous, it was the best performance of the season from him against Man City. So he seems to be getting better every game he plays, but Villa's no easy place to go, is it? Like you said, I think you've lost, I think it's 1 in 13 at home. So it's a bit of one of them where Leicester's got to be up for it. And you look at how key is it going to be, though, without Pau Torres, Morgan Rogers, John Duran, the players that are missing. How key is it going to be with Villa bringing in and replacing them players?
Well, like I said, I mean, John Duran's been, in terms of his goal scoring this season, has been incredible. Like at the start of the season, obviously he came on against you guys and scored to kind of to win the game.
Yeah.
He'd done the same against West Ham. He did the same against Everton. So the start of the season, he was absolutely incredible, just coming on and scoring. And then he went on a bit of a dip. And then toward the last sort of, before he got suspended, he was actually starting and he was scoring goals starting. So he's just a ruthless finisher. The other parts of his game aren't amazing. He's getting better at that, but I'd say Ollie Watkins is quite considerably better than him at those other parts of the game. But his finishing can't be denied. Morgan Rogers has been an absolute revelation for Aston Villa, so he will be a big miss in terms of him carrying the ball and the strength. And obviously now he's bringing goals and assists to his game. So hopefully someone like Jacob Ramsey, hopefully someone like Leon Bailey can step up at least for this game and cover that. I do actually think it probably comes at a pretty good time for Morgan Rogers to have a bit of a rest, this game, and then he probably won't start against West Ham in the FA Cup. So it does give him a bit of time to maybe rest and recuperate. Pau Torres will be a big miss, although he hasn't been great this season. I don't know what it is with him, but he seems to have. He's brilliant at passing the ball out from the back, brilliant with the ball. But I feel like he's not. I feel like he would struggle against someone like Vardy, just getting in at him and running off the shoulder. He's not particularly fast and he's not particularly physical. So someone like Tyrone Mings coming in, hopefully he's fit, because obviously he hasn't played a lot. He played against Brentford and then he came on because Torres got injured the last game and he was struggling towards the end, I think just through fitness and fatigue. But hopefully someone like Tyrone Mings can give us that leadership and that kind of voice at the back that I think Villa needs. So I'd probably say, certainly Duran and Rogers are going to be big misses for us, but I think we can probably cope with the loss of Pau Torres. But yeah, for 6 to 8 weeks, that'll be a difficult one. We'll probably have to step into the transfer market with the centre-back position.
Fair enough. I mean, we need to step into a transfer market defence. I'd put Britt Wall in that defence to make sure you don't get round it. So let's have a look at the last 5 at Villa Park. Leicester have got 3 wins.
Wow, that's I didn't know that.
I mean, we've travelled quite well in recent years. Jamie Vardy loves a goal at Villa Park, doesn't he? Harvey Barnes was another one. But then the last one at Villa Park in the Premier League was this one, 4-2. I mean, Leicester was struggling at that point of the season, Rich, when we last spoke before this Premier League game. The debut of Tete, scored on his debut. It was his 4th best game in a Leicester shirt. After that,
it's always seems to be against Villa that these players seem to be have a poor run with their club, but all of a sudden they turn up against Aston Villa.
But we turned up in that game and, Dennis Pratt scored. I think Iheanacho scored as well. Maddison. Did Konsa score for you? Konsa score in that game? And Ollie Watkins?
I know Watkins scored. I don't know if it was Watkins' double or if it was one was credited as an own goal. I think it might have been who was the big, tall centre-back you had? Was he from New Zealand international, was he?
Harry Souttar?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it was a Souttar own goal, if I remember right.
I remember you led the game, didn't you, in that one?
Yeah, I think it went like 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, and then you guys were 3-2 up at half time. And then the second half, Villa pressed and pressed, but I think you guys got a goal just to seal it, and we couldn't get back into it. It was early Unai Emery days where I think we lost like 3 games. It was a part of a period where we lost 3 in a row,
Mm.
and then after that, we went on a crazy run of just constantly winning games to end up finishing in the European spot. So yeah, I feel like we're a different Aston Villa to
Mm.
them. Not just in terms of performance, winning games, performances, and all that in quality. I just mean in terms of the way that we play. I
Yeah,
think I think that then we were uh, really trying to just constantly create chances. Whereas now, I think we're more trying to control games a little bit more.
mm.
And I kind of like to go back to what we were like before, like um, a bit more sort of trying to start fast out of the blocks. I
Yeah.
kind of like that Aston Villa more so. This Aston Villa, it kind of frustrates me a little bit because we seem to be playing really well in like the middle half of a game. Sort of from 15 to 65 minutes, we're
Yeah.
brilliant. But then the first 15 and the last 15 were just really poor, and we're conceding goals in those periods, and that's what's frustrating at the moment.
Yeah, we've got to take our chances. I think we're all right in attack, to be fair. It's the defence that worries me, man. It's like every time someone attacks us, I think, oh, here we go, they're going to score here. Because we know
Yeah,
that's been the whole scenario throughout the season. And, we need to sharpen up in defence. And this is the thing with the Premier League. You can't have a
no,
defence that's very leaky. You've got to be strong in defence. And that's your main key to staying in the Premier League. If your defence is strong, and you can score as well in attack, that's a good formula to have. And if you've only got one and you ain't got the other, you kind of think, well, what do we do here?
yeah. Well, what would we're looking at your guys' defense? Cody,
Yeah,
good experience centre back. Vestergaard, obviously experienced as well, but there's not a lot of
too
pace
slow.
there. Not a
Too
lot of
slow.
pace. Yeah, and then even Harry Winks, not a lot of pace there either.
Mm.
So you can see that teams can get past you in terms of that. And I don't. Every time I've watched that Samaria, I think there's a good player there, but I never see him doing anything. Like,
Samaras been fantastic in the last few games. I think he'll
has
be.
he? That's good. That's good. I don't know if there's something he's not. I don't know if there's something that he extra that he can give that he's maybe
Yeah.
not. Like, I see him being quite safe. Like, he wins the ball, that's fine, but I think he could do more. I think he could drive forward more. I think he could probably get
Mm.
have more attacks. Like, I think there's probably more in there from him.
Yeah, I think Matt Hermanson will be obviously a big miss. Obviously, he hasn't played for the last 3 games due to a groin injury. He's been our best player of
Good
the season,
goalkeeper, yeah,
really, in the games.
yeah.
If it weren't for him, I think we could see a very lot more. You've seen the way bloody Danny Ward comes in for Leicester and then ships bloody 6 goals. Do you know what I mean? So, you want to be safe hands in the Premier League with keeper. And I think, Matt Hermanson, there'll obviously be teams looking at him in the summer. And you won't be surprised, big clubs coming in for him, to be fair. But Leicester are going to stand firm, aren't they, with how much they want for him. And, yeah, we're not going to bloody sell him for any cheap. But
No.
talk to me about you starting 11, Rich, before we get on to score prediction. How do Villa line up with this one?
Yeah, it's obviously we're without the three that I've mentioned: Torres, Rogers, and Duran. So there's an
Yeah.
argument that all three of them would start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be particularly sort of out of the box in terms of the starting. I think it'll be Emi Martinez obviously in goal. I think Matty Cash will come back in at right back, thankfully, and Konsa will come back into centre back. Not that Matty Cash is amazing, but he just means that Konsa can go back into centre back. I think Tyra Mings comes in at the sort of left-sided centre back and Luca Dean at left back. Tielemans and Kamara as the midfield, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Although he might go with Onana and Kamara in that midfielder, and then play Tielemans further forward.
Yeah.
And then it's probably going to be Bailey off the right, Watkins up top, and then Ramsey or McGinn. Yeah. To be fair, I think he'll probably go Kamara, Onana as the central midfielder, and then Tielemans and McGinn
Mm-hmm.
ahead of them, with Bailey off the right and Watkins up top. I think Ramsey will probably stay on the bench.
I think with Rude, Stolasic will keep his place. Connor Cody and Vestergaard, obviously, yes, it's a bit of a pace issue in it against bloody Ollie Watkins, who can run. Christensen, I think, will keep his place. I think Hamza Chowdhury replaced James Justin. I think James Justin's been well off the pace this
Has
season.
he? I really like him, you know.
He gets beaten so easy. And when you go on attack on Rich, man goes backwards more times than forwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
When he got
Interesting.
well open, and he's not been good enough, Justin, at all this season. I know he scored that the Arsenal goal that he scored on the volley and that, but apart from that, he's been a shambles, like the defence. Harry Winks and Bouba Samare will be the centre defensive midfielders in this game. I think them two are going to be key. Obviously, Winks can play the good passes, the wide range of passes. You got Samare, who's your big man in the midfield. Him and Onana are going to be battling all afternoon. And I think that's what we need, because Onana last time, he bullied us, innit? So I'm thinking, Bouba Samare's in there. Booba's got to go and step on his toes and say, mate, I'm going to be the big man on this pitch. I'm taking one for the team here. And I think El Kanous, Buonanotte, Steffi Mavididi, Jamie Vardy. I think Jordan Ayew would be on the bench. I know you lot used to have Jordan Ayew, didn't you?
We did. Yeah, we did. He was part of the Villa side that got relegated, unfortunately, but he was probably one of the only players to come out with any credit from that season. And then I think he started for us in the Championship, but then got a move elsewhere early on in that Championship season. But yeah, he was okay for Villa, but I mean, you know, nobody was really any good in that season, because I think we only won 3 games the whole season, so it was one of the worst Premier League teams in history. But he's gone on to have a decent career, and he generally, I think even when he was at Palace, he generally played well against Villa. So yeah, another player that could come back to haunt us.
Let's just hope he don't come off the bench tomorrow. I mean, Jordan Ayew's one of them who's scored a few late goals this season when coming off the bench. So if he can get the winner at Villa Park, I'd be quite happy with him, Breach. I think he scored 6 this season, Jordan Ayew. So he's had a good rate. He's not obviously your ideal goal scorer, is he, Rich? He's more of your work rate type of player, hold the ball up, get it on, and things like that to really cause defensive issues. But where did you really see him in his actual position? Obviously, some would play him out on the wing, wouldn't they, at Crystal Palace? But where did Villa play him?
I think he was a front man, if I remember right. He used to play off, but sometimes play off the wide positions. We had such a bad team then, Jack. It was such a bad team. And Rudy Gested up front.
Jesus.
With Jordan Ayew. And Gabby Agbonlahor played as well, but he couldn't really be bothered that season. So it was a difficult one, to be fair. I think he sometimes played up front, sometimes played off the wing. You know, depending if we played some form of 4-3-3 or 4-4-2. But yeah, it was certainly a season to forget. But I do remember him scoring 1 or 2 really good goals in that season, particularly one against Newcastle at St James's Park. He scored a good goal. But yeah, he's always been that kind of forward player, hasn't he? He's always been that, like you say, someone who can win fouls, bring players into the game, beat a man, come up with a key goal at certain times. But he's never going to be a prolific goal scorer, but an effective player to have in a squad, definitely.
I agree. Last one then, Rich, before I let you go. Score prediction.
Well, Aston Villa do not keep clean sheets. I'll say that now. So you will guarantee to score a goal. But let's say 3-1 to Villa. I think hopefully they'll have learnt the lessons from the Brighton game and will put the game to bed when it's needed, which we didn't do against Brighton. And that's something that I think you guys can cling on to. That, not necessarily cling on to, but just know that can happen. But yeah, I fancy a 3-1 win. I think Watkins will get another goal. I think McGinn will score, and let's say Leon Bailey as well to score.
Leicester, I tell you what, I'm going to go for a win. I'm going to back us to win. I I'm going to go 2-1. So I'm going to go with Buonanotte to score with Jamie Vardy, and Villa. You've got to go bloody Youri Tielemans, haven't you? If we bloody let him box, it's going to be, you know where it's going to go, in it. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester. It'll probably end up bloody 2-2, knowing Leicester and Villa. It might be a draw. So
Probably.
we'll see. Rich, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate
No problem.
it again. But before I let you go, let everybody know where they can find you, mate.
Yeah, as I said before, Villa Park Podcast. I think someone's subscribed already, which is brilliant. Yeah. So thank you for that. And we're on the road to 5,000, so we should be closer now to it. And yeah, if you want to see match preview, I think we're doing later on today with one of the lads from the channel. We're going to do match reaction, obviously, hopefully, for Aston Villa's sake, for after 3 points. And then I'm doing a bit of a transfer roundup every day of the latest rumours, and we do tactics shows. So loads of stuff on the channel. And then find us at Villa Park Pod on all socials as well.
Fantastic. Cheers for coming on, Rich. Happy New Year and all the best for the rest of the season after tomorrow, of course.
Take care, mate. See you soon.
Cheers, Rich. Thank you. That was Rich from the Villa Park Podcast. Great to chat to as always. Thanks to Jack and Rich. Yeah. What's coming up on the final whistle then before we go? So we'll have the match day vlog for Aston Villa versus Leicester at Villa Park. Fingers crossed the Foxy can get something out of games now going forward. Hopefully it's a big 2025. It's going to be another roller coaster year for Leicester City, I'm sure. And if you're watching this on playback, let me know your score predictions and that before the game ahead of this one. And hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. Thank you for watching. Take care. Happy New Year, everyone. And up the Foxes. Keep it the final whistle. Hi all. Thank you for watching the final whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.